Right, a relaxed morning at Sling Mountain today. Must mean I'm sport climbing or something if I'm nice and chilled. Apologies if the dog distracts me, sniffing my feet at the moment. They also that would imply that they smell or something, but I'm fresh out of the shower, so they definitely don't. Anyway, this is all about what I take sport climbing, right? Just to give you my opinion, and this is just that, it is only my opinion, right? Of important things that I take and some not so important things that I take, but nonetheless things that I take to the sport crag. Well, number one, you've just seen the dog, he comes with me, of course, and so I have to take a dog bowl and plenty of water and things, but that's by the by. Right, number one, we go sport climbing in all these nice sunny places, or I do, and I spend my winter in Spain. It's actually not often that sunny where we go climbing. It might be sunny in general, but we find the shady crags because we're trying to climb hard, and you just can't climb hard when it's like really hot and sunny. It's too sweaty, it's all greasy and horrible, the rock. It's all relative, it's still really nice, but if you're on easy climbs, right, it's nice to be in the sun. Yeah, of course it is. When you're trying to push on, you spend a lot of time in the shade. So big chunky down jacket, that is a bit of a godsend on a sunny, a not so sunny sport crag in Spain or wherever, right? You might be climbing down at La Penturin on the Great Orme, flipping freeze in there sometimes. So very rare that I go sport climbing. I don't have a big chunky jacket. Even if I don't wear it, doesn't matter, it's going to be in the bag, right? Get one. Water, obvious, right? Plenty. Food, all that kind of stuff. That was just a bit of a prompt for that thing. Flip-flops. Remember, rule number one of climbing, look cool. Yeah, flip-flops are cool, aren't they? And actually, on a genuine point, it's just nice not to get like putting your feet in and out of trainers and you get really hot, because despite us finding the shade, it is often really hot. So a pair of flip-flops, they go a long way. We'll get onto the more serious items in a minute, don't worry. I think we're kind of there already, actually. Chalk bag, right. Sounds pretty boring, chalk bag. Make sure it's a nice big one that takes loads of chalk and you can like fit your hands in quickly. If it's really skinny and narrow and you're wasting time and energy fighting your hand in to find that tiny bit of chalk in the bottom, it's no good. Take a brush. Don't be selfish. Brush holds, right? It matters. If you've never climbed like hard, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but if you've never been crimping on small holds and slopey things and that, you go and do it and you'll realise that actually it does make a difference to have a nice clean hold. So if you're working a route, especially, you brush all the holds in readiness, and then actually when you've done the route, brush them afterwards so they're ready for the next person as well. So get a good brush, right? It's worth a few quid. It doesn't cost a lot, and it's just it's a sociable, nice thing to do. A bag of chalk is extra, right? Because you go through a lot of chalk when you're sport climbing, so just easy to top up along the way. Finger tape, that kind of lives in the side as well. Finger tape, right, I kind of use it to patch up little cuts or something, or to just, if I've got a slightly tweaky finger, there's not much like medical evidence to show it helps, but it certainly feels like it does to me. So I'll wrap up, and often it's these fingers for me, and that bit particularly, so I'll sort of tape up there. Don't be one of those people who just tapes up because they think it's what climbers do, and you think it looks cool. No one cares about whether your fingers are taped up or not. It doesn't look cool. Do it if you've got an issue though, and it helps prevent it. So I've always got a little roll of tape in there. There was something else on those lines. That was it, liquid chalk. I really like this stuff. Again, if it's a bit hot on that, you kind of coat your hands in this to start with, and then use your chalk as normal, and it just kind of gives you a base of nice dry hands, and you keep dipping the chalk as appropriate on top of that. I really like that. Some people don't. It does dry your hands out though, so don't forget your climb on. I haven't got any of that in there because that stays sort of in the house. Climb on just to sort of moisturise a little bit at the end of the day. These things matter. Oh God, these are a godsend, right? So you can open them. There you go. Slick video skills there. Belay glasses. When you're young, you won't care too much about your painful neck. As you get older and you've been belaying for days and days and days like this, you'll start to get a slightly painful neck. So wear belay glasses. You can just look straight out there, but look up at the same time. When these first came out, everyone kind of laughed at the few people that did wear them. Yeah, like everyone wears them now. They're just so comfortable to wear. They make your life so much easier. Get a pair. They're only like 12 quid from Decathlon or something. And these have lasted quite a while because they've got a few chips where they've been dropped and that, but they still work just fine. I'll buy exactly the same pair again, I reckon. It also enables you to concentrate a bit better. You find that, when you are looking up like this and it is aching a bit and you look down so you can't see, if you can just like have a comfortable pose, you will concentrate better. And actually it does have some knock-on effects on other parts of your body as you're looking up, because you change your shape, so you can get a bit achy. For me, hip flexors get affected by that, which is weird, but they do. So Belay glasses, they live in the rucksack as well. What's next? Rock shoes. Well, it might be a one pair of rock shoes day, it might be a 2 pairs of rock shoes day, and the rock shoes kind of depend where we're going, but for me, 5'10" high ankles work really well. I love these things. They fit my feet perfectly. They're a bit downturned, quite a stiff pair, but they actually get pretty sticky as they're worn in a bit. Doesn't really matter what brand you wear, but if you're trying to climb hard, something with a bit of downturn will just sort of give you that purchase on the rock and put a bit more power through. And tight but not too tight. I'm feel really lucky to have found this particular model that works for me, because I can have these really tight, but the shape just works well, so they're not uncomfortable. And some people say tight shoes don't matter. Well, sadly they kind of do to a point. They don't have to be like flipping painfully tight. That's what I mean about finding the right pair that fits. But they do need to be snug. You can't have dead space. You can't have your feet rolling around. And okay, that's fine when you're well within your limits. It doesn't matter so much. But when you're trying to stand on some tiny little smeary foothold that is hardly even a foothold, you want every part of those odds stacked in your favour. So get a pair that work well for you. Worth it. Harnesses next, just because it's there. I mentioned this in my previous video as well. This is it's an Arc'teryx one, only got 2 gear loops plus a little thing at the back. It's light, it works, it's comfy. There's not much more to say about it than that. If you get like me, if you're really into red pointing, you will be hanging around a lot working routes. So get one that's comfy, try hanging in it. You can see how wide the waist belt is on these. That's kind of why it's comfy. It's super skinny, that's why it's light, but just works really well for me. And obviously get one that fits, and just have a little think about what you might be wearing, because often it's like a t-shirt kind of thing. So that harness used for trad climbing all year round, that sometimes you've got jackets on and stuff underneath, maybe you won't have those jackets, so it might affect the sizing slightly of your harness. So make sure you get one that fits. As long as you're buying a proper harness from a proper shop, you won't get a dodgy one. Don't go shopping on like Amazon and get something you've never heard of, though. They're all rated properly and tested, so just make sure you're buying from a reputable place. All right. I should add that actually we're like affiliates for Epic TV, so it's just a bit of product placement sort of thing there. So in the link below, you can click on that and you'll get 10% off everything at Epic TV with that code, even stuff that's in the sale. So do feel free to check that out. I do make a tiny bit of money from anything that you buy, but it's so small I don't even know what it is. It's kind of measured in pennies, not pounds. So it's kind of irrelevant to me, really. But yeah, I really like those harnesses. Belay device, right. What I don't take is this Wild Country Revo, whatever it is, don't like it. What I don't take is this click up, right? It's got a bit tangled there it goes. Hey, some people love these. They're alright, they work. They're assisted braking. I don't see any reason to not use an assisted braking device for sport climbing. I don't know, they do work. They lock up nicely, they pay out alright. It's an assisted braking device, like 50 quid or something. What I don't take is this Mammoth Smart. Hey, that's alright, they're only like 25 quid, what a bargain. So I've got one, I've got other things as well though, so I don't take this one, but it's kind of carabiner specific. That other one comes with that carabiner and you have to use it with that one. This one, I think you can buy it with a particular carabiner, but you don't have to. But certain carabiners lock up nicely, others just give a bit of assistance. There's some good points to it. One, it's cheap, two, you can keep both hands on it when you're lowering. But it's not my favourite. What is my favourite is the Gree. Most sport climbers will use a Gree. They, in my opinion, they're just the best device. Obviously, there's no association with pets or anything. They just work really well. They're so simple to use. And when you get used to them, and that's the key, you have to get used to them. you can just bang out slack really quickly, like super quickly. There's a certain way of using it, finger under that little bar there, not pinching the whole thing, and you can bang out slack probably quicker than with an ATC type device, to be honest. They're assisted braking. They're just, for me, I don't see how you'd improve that particularly, other than one little thing, which is on this Gree 2, the rope can kind of, sometimes it can jam a little bit when the cam's open, it gets stuck behind there. But the newer Gree, right, which is now, it's not the Gree 3, it's just called the Gree, I think, it has a little bit of metal in there, so that can't happen. So if you haven't got a Gree yet and you're going to buy one, get that newer one, because that'll stop that one minor thing happening. I think a lot of people don't like them, they're a bit Marmite. The vast majority of sport climbers though love them. I think people who don't like them just haven't used them a lot, and that's fine, you can use whatever device you want, but I reckon they're the best. So if you're going to get one of them and practice with it safely. Right? Same as any device, you've got to get used to it, you've got to practice with it properly and use it appropriately. Petzl have got loads of good videos on their website of using various different things, including the Grees. Enough of that. Quickdraws, okay, so I've got some nice DMM Alpha Sports. They're flipping great, they last a long time, they're chunky, nice solid gates, clip it, done, really nice action on them. Last you a long time, these ones. These have taken some right abuse, and like I say, because I'm doing mostly red point, I've fallen off a lot. And you know, they are getting some wear on the top bit, not on the rope bit, because that doesn't take quite so much as getting banged into a bolt every 5 minutes. Last you a long time, so although they're expensive, pretty worthwhile investment, I reckon. So I got a couple of them. Obviously I take more than 2 sport climb with me, depends where I'm going. Like climbing long routes in Chile, I might have like 30 in the bag. You don't usually need 30, but so I've got plenty. Yeah, going somewhere else I might only have 15 with me, and that's plenty. It just depends where you're climbing, isn't it? My kind of Quickdraws of choice at the moment though are these Petzl ones, Petzl Spirits. They're very similar to the DMM ones, they're just a fraction lighter. The clipping is really nice, and the action is really nice, still nice thick dog bones and everything. We don't need super lightweight Quickdraws for most sport climbing, unless you're doing really long routes and that, and on-sighting. Like say for me, for red points, it's dangling the crag half their life anyway, and I leave them there overnight and many nights and go back and clip them the next day. Probably, I think they're a bit more money again, but they are super nice. I mean, light, like I say, does it matter? No, but it's a bit nicer to carry a lightweight bag into the crag, isn't it? Perhaps. I'm just going to leave them there. On the topic of Quickdraws, I've started using this a bit more actually when I'm on sighting. This is a Kong, I think it's Kong, yeah, Kong. It's called a blue light. The carabiner, you can click it open and it stays open, and you can get that extra reach from it. So you know, when you're on those good set of holes, you can't quite reach the next bolt, you can go, and as it goes into the bolt, it shuts itself. So you put your own carabiner on the other end of it, and you just use it like a normal Quickdraw then, and you can either replace it with one as you go past or leave it in, whatever. You can get a slightly longer one as well, but a few different companies make them, but some sort of panic draw, I really like those. They're a good addition on your on-sighting rack, so I like them a lot. I do take a lever beaner as well with me, so I can just put that into a bolt or whatever and bail, right? I don't bail very often because I've got the stick with me. Okay, I'll come on to that in a second, but just in case you had to for whatever reason. A couple of times this year in Chile, there was sort of missing bolt or something like that, or actually on one route the bolts turned into these look like ring pulls off cans, to be honest. So I was like, I'm just not clipping them, so I bailed off one of them. There's some thought needed if you're going to bail off just one thing, and should it be a screw gate? Well, that's up to you, but that's what I use. You could take a Malon, and these only cost a few quid, they're well cheap, pretty strong, very strong. I'll tell you somewhere on there how long, whatever it is, it was pretty strong. You put that on and you screw it, make sure it's that way up so it's gravity loaded. They should be like properly fully tightened to get their full strength, and then you can lower off that. Downside though, it's a right pain sometimes for then the next person to come up, because they take up some space in the hanger on the bolt, and they can be really difficult to undo, especially if they've been there a little bit. So they can be a little bit on the antisocial side. So personally, I go for a snap gate or a screw gate. So to be honest, it's a snap gate most of the time, but some judgment involved there. So be safe whatever you decide to do. The clip stick is kind of, I just think, pretty vital to sport climbing, right? It protects those first few moves off the floor sometimes, so you can put the drawer and the rope in on the first bolt, the second bolt. This is the super long one, so sometimes you can go even higher if you're working a route or something. Sometimes you can, even if you're not putting the rope in, you can just clip a few drawers in, so you've got a steadier start. You can just clip the rope in as you go. That's really good. Great for working a route. So if you're trying something that's too hard for you, you can use the clip stick just to put the rope in and dog your way up it, and you can practice it and then go for the red point at a later date, or even the same day later on. So they open up a few options, I reckon. They also mean if you can't do those moves, you can still get to the top and set up and thread and lower off without leaving any kit. Used, you have to be, it's quite tricky this bit with this particular one. There's other brands available. There's one other main brand in the UK, Pongoose. They're really nice. Where you can actually get the quick draw back out as well. So if you can't do, maybe you can't even do the first moves off the floor, but you've already put the rope in and the quick draw in, you can use that to unhook it and take it out. So that's quite nice, isn't it? I just use it as a walking stick on the way into the crag as well. The various different lengths you can buy. This is the big long one, so it's a bit difficult to carry on an actual picture climbing if you're working it. The smaller ones are a bit nicer for that. But it is pretty fundamental to sport climbing, I think, personally. What else have we got in the bag? Well, not a massive amount. I'm not going to pull the whole rope out, but a rope. Yeah, you can have a thick rope, it's going to last you a long time. A skinny rope, it's going to be lighter and nicer to use. This is a DMM Crux 9.1. I don't think DMM do ropes anymore, but I might be wrong there. Didn't wear particularly well, this one, so it's probably not one I'd buy again anyway, but there's loads of ropes out there. Just make sure you take the appropriate length for the crag you go into. So again, I spend a lot of time in Chile where there's lots of 40-metre routes, so you have to have an 80-metre rope. Obviously that gives you loads of flexibility. You can take your 80-metre rope to a 20-metre crag, but it's extra weight and all that kind of thing, so you end up having a cupboard full of ropes like me. Key is to make sure that, let's see if I can find a bit here, hang on one second, there you go. In your rope bag, which is what this is, it'll come with a tarpaulin thing, so you can lay out on the floor so your rope doesn't get covered in dust, in mud or whatever, depends where you're climbing, but just make them last a bit longer. Tie the dead end, the very other end of the rope, into this, so you can't possibly lower off the end of the rope. Some really experienced people have had accidents lowering off the end of a rope. Don't let that be you. Just tie it into that and it won't happen. Okay, you might then have to know how to get off a route if your rope's not long enough, but at least you'll be dangling and give it some thought rather than onto the floor. So I do use a rope bag because it'll make your kit last longer, and you can tie the rope in. If you haven't got a rope bag, just tie a knot in the end of your rope. Vital to do that. Tie a knot in every single time, all right? Just becomes a habit then, okay? But I mean, this is a dry treated rope, so I don't go sport climbing in the rain. It does keep the dust and stuff out of your rope, and it will last a bit longer and be a bit nicer. Have I missed anything off there? There's one thing I've missed that I can think of. I do just take a screw gate on the back of my harness. That's for when I'm doing the rethreading at the top and everything. So that's a vital bit of kit. It might have been in there somewhere, another one, but definitely a screw gate. Anything else? Only warm stuff like hat and gloves. You'll notice there's no lanyard in there. I did another video on why I don't take a lanyard. That's a personal choice. What else? There's one other thing that isn't in there. You probably noticed sitting there thinking, he hasn't got that, he hasn't got that, he hasn't got that. It's a helmet. Do I wear a helmet sport climbing? There's no point in not being honest about this. The honest answer is no, by default, I don't wear a helmet sport climbing, okay? Is there any good reason not to wear a helmet sport climbing? Well, no, not really. There isn't, is there? I can try and justify it to you all alike, but there is no real reason not to wear a helmet sport climbing. I use a black diamond vapor, which I wear by default trad climbing. It's 200 and something grams, it's nothing. Would I ever wear a helmet sport climbing? Yeah, I would, definitely. I have done. It just doesn't come by default. So, often, especially in the UK, sport climbing quarries are a bit kind of grotty and a bit loose at the top, which is why they've never been developed into trad crags sometimes. So I've seen bits of rock coming off on sport routes, maybe even more times than I have on trad routes perhaps. So there's a really good reason, especially for the Belay, to wear a helmet. So, you know, I would suggest you do wear a helmet sport climbing. I say I have done. There's a certain route on the Orme where there's a slightly awkward clip on a hard move, and it felt like if I messed up that clip, I might be flipped upside down and then potentially bang my head into the rock, which would be bad. So I did wear a helmet on that one. There was one route in Spain this year I wish I had worn a helmet, because I took a fall and took a swing as well. And as I swung, I caught the rope as it spun me around. Just the rope going down to my belay, it was not my climbing rope as such. Yeah, spun me around at quite some velocity, to be fair. I didn't hit my head, and wasn't really that close, I don't think, but you know, why not wear a helmet? I kind of think it's just, once upon a time it wasn't normal to wear a helmet sport climbing. It's becoming more and more normal to wear a helmet sport climbing, especially abroad, right? When you go to these Spanish crags and stuff, you used to see no one wearing a helmet. Actually, loads of people wear a helmet these days. Don't be shy about it. If you want to wear a helmet, wear a helmet. I'm going to make some judgments when I go sport climbing, and if I think I should wear a helmet, yeah, absolutely I will. Up to you. My advice is wear a helmet, but I don't take one. Make of that what you will. It's a bit like my lanyard video. Lanyards are flipping great, but I don't take one. All right. I don't really see the point in doing things in videos that are kind of not what I do in real life. Okay, so this is why I'm sort of being honest and telling you I don't use a lanyard and I don't use a helmet. It'd be really easy to sit here and say, yeah, I always use that and I always use that, but I'm trying to be realistic with it. Okay, I hope that's appreciated anyway. I can't think of anything else that I would take to the sport crag. This is like the extra add-in of shame, which means I've forgotten something vital that I definitely don't want to miss out that's in there. Warming up stuff, right? I'm massive on this, so I'm really annoyed with myself that I forgot to mention these bits. My excuses there in the attic, but consider myself suitably chastised by myself for missing them off. Right, squeezy ball, great for warming up the fingers. You can have it in your pocket as you're walking into the crag, or just do it when you're there and looking at the route and stuff. Really good bit of kit. Hand in hand with that is the TheraBand, all sorts of mobility type stuff and stretching stuff. You can do that from, you know, rotator cuffs and all sorts. Only cost a few quid. Take one with you, right? They come to like every climbing trip ever, like whether it's trad, sport, bouldering, anything. They're always in my bag for warming up. The next thing doesn't come with me trad climbing normally, but it does to pretty much every sport crag and bouldering place. And it's the hangboard, the fingerboard. So this is an awesome Woodies one. There happened to be one at Crag Santa Linya in Spain that I was climbing at, and it was just really good. They just hang a lot better than some others, so you can actually use the smaller edges better. So it's got all sorts, you know, it's got your 20mm, it's got your big jug, 15mm, some pockets. You don't have to take one of these to the crag, but I do. You know, invariably, some crags have really good bits that you can do a few pull-ups on, or a bit of traversing or whatever. Other crags just don't lend themselves to it, so if you can take that with you, you can just clip it to a bolt or hang it off a tree, or you'll always find something. So you can just get properly warmed up, and do warm up, right? Injury prevention, but also you'll just climb harder. If you warm up properly and get everything recruited, when you get onto your climb, you will climb better, right? It's as simple as that. That's why I take it, for those two reasons. So good bits to take. Apologies for missing off them off the main bit of video. I am annoyed at myself, so you know, just keep that in mind. Right, back to the last bit of action. I think that's about it, really. Fire away with any questions as usual. Tell me what I've missed. I bet I've missed something. I must have missed something. Probably say really flipping obvious as well. But yeah, tell me if I have. And like I say, questions, just put them in the comments below. Find us on Facebook and Insta and all that kind of thing as well. Hit the like button if you've liked it, you know the score. Hit the subscribe button as well. Why not? It only takes a second and it keeps me happy. It stops me moaning, doesn't it? I hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks very much for watching. More videos coming up very soon.